Right, people, you seem to enjoy this last time. The transfer window is now open. Congratulations, everyone. Transfer rumours will begin to permeate your mind. The first thing you're going to do is go on the BBC Transfer Gossip page and just look at transfers. It's shopping, isn't it, essentially, Neve? And Neve has joined me to go through the biggest transfer rumour for each team, and we're going to have a chat about those teams as we go along. Welcome, Sunderland, by the way. Welcome, Burnley. Welcome, Leeds. It's always nice.
I'm excited for... Oh, that would be a brutal thing to say. I was about to say I'm excited for two of those teams, but then that's disrespectful to the third team. No, do you know why?
Which two
Well,
which two are you excited
I'm
for?
excited for Leeds and Sunderland.
Okay.
Especially excited for Sunderland.
Burnley been bouncing up and down a bit too much for you? Is that what that is?
Yeah, it's just, with Burnley, my only thing with them is I don't think as a club, a bit like Norwich, I actually don't think they're too bothered about being relegated because obviously with the parachute payments, it's a viable thing. And I'm not criticising them for it.
Although Norwich are worried about it now. See, it's fine as long as you keep bouncing back.
And then,
that's the
they
problem.
Suddenly don't.
Watford fans, do you hear me?
I'm buzzing for Burnley too, sorry. Sorry.
Does she mean it? You've kind of said that you don't mean that. So anyway, let's press on. So these are the tiers. Season defining. I like it. Might as well. You listening?
Yeah.
Not for me. And big mistake.
Oh.
Okay. You're never backwards and coming forwards, Neve. So if it is a big mistake, I expect you to let me know. Right. Let's kick off with Arsenal. Benjamin Sesko, 22 years old, linked with Arsenal. Some people saying it's already kind of pretty much done and dusted. The big talking point, I think, with Arsenal has been him or Gyökeres.
Yeah.
Where do you sit on the Sesko deal? I think some people are kind of nervous about him. They feel like he's maybe a touch raw. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, and I think that the whole point with Arsenal is there's a little bit more urgency, I think, for them in terms of like they could do a little bit of success soon.
Yeah.
So
what do you think about Thierry Henry's comments? Did you see them?
What did he say?
He said that Gary Neville's going like, they've been building, and he's like, they've been building for a while now. It's a pretty tall building. It's been 3 years of a good team, and you haven't even brought a final or a trophy.
Yeah, and I think as well with Arsenal, what probably frustrates the supporters is it's been a while. It's felt like quite a while now where maybe even post Aubameyang going, where you've thought actually they've got a real good team. There's just a piece there that needs to sort of fill in. And I don't actually know if it's always necessarily been a striker necessarily. It could have been someone on the left maybe. It just an attacker, just one more option that improves one of two things. Maybe in the games where they draw, that's where a striker comes in and someone who takes that opportunity. The amount of times like Saka, I remember the Newcastle game, Saka's putting these amazing balls into the box and nobody's doing anything with it. Or maybe someone it could be, obviously I say on the left because you've got Saka on the right, who is a little bit quicker at moving the ball forward, who isn't going to pass it back, someone who's going to drive forward. Yeah. So there's like one attacking player, and that honestly could have been the difference for them in terms of fine margins of.
It feels like fine margins, which again then makes it a bit more excruciating when you don't get yourselves over the line.
So it's a huge gamble to get a player in who's you don't know if he is going to tip you over the line or not. Yeah,
and I think with strikers, it's that sort of space for development's it's not as readily available because you need to be scoring goals, you need to be the difference, you need to take chances, all these things. 45 appearances last year, 21 goals, 6 assists. Only generated 13.6 expected goals from 51 appearances this season, but still got 21 goals. Is that right? Overperformed is actually by 3.4 this season in all comps. Sorry, so that must be a little bit different. That must be all competitions. I think the point is that in terms of him exceeding his XG, part of that is down to he's got an absolute rocket of a shot. And so there's some of these goals that he's scoring are kind of, a low XG chances. This debate between Gyökeres and Sesko, I think what's really silly, in my opinion, is this idea that you have to pick one of them. I think if they get either of those, they improve. And in terms of an Arsenal striker, I was thinking, okay, well, what do you actually want? And I think with Arsenal, I think they would like to be able to transition quicker and better at times. I think they're so good at sort of suffocating like really strong rest defence. Two great centre-backs that, if it does come out, they'll go and sort it out anyway. But it's one where like sometimes you get the ball in your own half, in your own third. Have you got someone who's a power forward who can really affect those two centre-backs? We've just done a whole podcast talking about PSG. And someone like Dembele playing up front, he actually didn't really play up front because in terms of that sort of muscling, he's not going to affect those two. So how do you affect him in a different way? He comes out of it and they do it a different way. I think for Arsenal, the reason that they're looking at Gyökeres and they're looking at Šeško is they want a big lad who can win some aerial duels or bring other players into play quickly, or actually just run the channels as well. The ability to do both, I think, is really important. So if they get either of them, I think, they're moving in the right direction. I think Gyökeres is a little bit more put together with his hold-up play. He's a very clear bully. Can run down the channels. And I think he's just a bit more complete because he's a little bit older. But Šeško is really, really exciting as well. His touch can be a little bit off for me sometimes.
Do you know what's really frustrating? And I'll be totally honest about this. It's trying to remove your experience of watching a player and look, because this, like, the Bundesliga is not a league that I'm watching week in, week out, but I've watched him live. I went to the Leipzig Villa game and I was a bit underwhelmed.
Yeah.
But that's not indicative of him.
A lot of people say that.
But, and there's nothing to suggest that wasn't just an off game, but his presence on the pitch I really wasn't moved by.
I agree with you. So I think that's the difference for me. With Gyökeres, I think a lot of people going, Šeško's ceiling's higher. Like maybe it is. Gyökeres, when I'm watching him, it feels like a sort of bit more Shearer-esque guy where he's just holding the guy off and you kind of know what he's doing like completely. It feels that touch more, neat. Whereas Šeško sometimes, his hold-up play it's fine, but it's not as well knitted together. But I wonder with Arteta that what you have got with him in terms of what they're going to do is he will, in terms of hold-up play, it will be kind of pop it off and then go get yourself in the box or run in the channel. I think in terms of intricate hold-up play, I don't think they're going to really need that striker to be that too much. I think they need them in two areas, in transition or in the box.
Yeah.
So that lack of neatness, which I agree with you, I think his touch at times and his awareness of where his other players are, that could develop because you're playing under Arteta where it's maybe a bit slower than Leipzig, where they're just kind of going. But also, I think there will be a real simplicity. I thought you look so weird there.
I'm stimming.
Clacking your forearm hairs.
You've locked me. I'm in a straight jacket. You want me?
Yeah.
No,
Neve's happy to hear. Give him a wave, Neve. Give him a wave.
It's one of my stims I like to do.
Sorry, I just looked down. I was like, where are your hands?
Yeah. I should just have one long arm.
just a ring. I think so. It'd be like play it, go into the channel, or pop it off and get yourself in the box because Odegaard's going to be there or Marino's going to be there. And I think with Odegaard, Rice, Marino, Zubimendi might come in as well. You're going to play the ball quick. I think they're going to play the ball a bit quicker, so you might be able to get around some of those problems that you're.
How do you think Odegaard's going to play next season with Zubimendi coming in? Do you think he'll play a bit higher up? Because he sort of seemed to want to get the ball behind everyone else, didn't he? And then sort of have the game in front of him. Yeah. Whereas maybe there were games where it would call for him actually getting a little bit more involved, getting behind the opposition's midfield. I think it's going to reveal what he's all about, Odegaard, because I think he'll be, if Zubimendi plays, there's no need for Odegaard to drop deep. And he does that a lot where he's like demanding the ball and it looks nice, but it's safe. He will have to stay in that higher up the pitch. That's why I in terms of a link up,
I feel like Gyökeres and Odegaard would link up really well. Just because, as I say, I think Gyökeres is just a little bit further forward at the moment. Maybe not overall in his career. And the problem is with Arsenal is that context of got to win it now, got to win it now. Like, so you need a guy who can deal with that pressure.
How much is Sesko looking like as well? It's quite expensive.
70 million amid secret meeting, say Sky Germany.
That's very expensive.
Is like 22, so he's young. Strikers do cost a decent amount. So you like say it doesn't work for a bit, you're probably going to be able to sell him on. It sounds like I'm sort of saying don't go get Sesko. Like I don't hate the idea of Sesko. It's one where like, do you want to play the long play or do you want to play the let's win this now play? And I think Gyökeres is closer if it's that. I think the smart decision probably is Sesko because I think Arteta can improve him. And as I say, I think to your point about Odegaard and that, I don't think he'll need to. Sesko will need to get it and figure things out. You know, like Harry Kane, drop deep, ping it over there. I don't think he would need to do that. He'll either be in transition or he'll be in the box. Where I think he could score some lovely goals with Saka putting those crosses in as well. Yeah. So, okay, decision time. Season defining. I like it. Might as well. Not for me. Big mistake.
I mean, I don't want to have lots of involved. No, I don't want to.
You don't want to be involved? Shall I do it on my own? Go on. It's a bit fun.
Yeah. It's not actually for me personally.
Okay.
But at the same time,
happy to be wrong.
I'm not like, anti-Sesko, that kind of thing. But at the same time, I don't know why. It's just not exciting me.
You know, like you say, the sort of underwhelmingness of some of his touches and stuff. I feel like the Twitter sphere or the exosphere will like jump on that quite quickly if it doesn't start well. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I think I know what you mean.
I'm happy for you to lift it high though, if you want to.
Let's go. Might as well.
Yeah.
Let's go. Might as well. It's just our opinion. Arsenal fans are going to go mad on that. Oh well. Aston Villa. João Pedro, 23 years old.
Wow.
30 appearances, 10 goals, 7 assists. The Mirror are saying that they're after him. Yeah, he had a good season. 3.3 shot creating actions per 90, top 10% amongst forwards in the top 5 leagues. A versatile attacker who can play as an attacking midfielder off the left or as a false 9. Could he be a Rashford replacement? As it looks like Villa aren't going to go permanent with that move. How do you feel about, do you think that's the right thing, firstly, Villa to leave the Rashford experiment?
Those wages are pretty high, aren't they?
Pretty juicy, yeah.
They really need to start bringing that down, Villa. So perhaps this is... Also, they're thinking like maybe more long-term this as well.
Yeah, exactly. And like talent, hunger, like him having that energy and excitement as he steps into it. My fear with Rashford is there's been so much like kind of noise around him for so long. Like for him to keep his motivation up, I think is difficult. That said, he did do really well. I did well overall. There's always a story there with Rashford as well, which I think is from Aston Villa's point of view, I think is problematic a little bit. I'd be interested to see where he's going to go. About 40 million, they're saying, for Rashford. I have no idea where he'll end up.
I think he should go abroad.
Yeah.
I'd have him at Napoli.
Would you?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, 100%.
Wages, though?
Yeah, no, that is a good point. That is a good point. And De Bruyne will probably be quite high wages. So,
if he was a little bit older, everyone would just go Saudi. You just go Saudi, off you go.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's where
But I think maybe Manchester United might be ringing up Saudi because a lot of their players, the fees they'll want for them, Saudi's probably the only country that will do it.
Yeah, you're right. João Pedro, though, I like him. I'm intrigued to see where he would play. Is it sort of... Because the thing, and I've said it probably a few times on this pod, like I always think about him, he's sort of playing off Welbeck.
Yeah.
As opposed to just being that out and out guy. He does like to come and get involved a little bit. So for Villa, like, does he play as that striker, or has Emery got a new plan in place? Like, what's he up to? I don't know. Do you think that the lack of Champions League football might make life a bit hard for Villa this summer? There's been a lot of talk about their sort of wages is like 90% of their income, I think, something like that.
Yeah, perhaps on like the financial side of things, but in terms of players wanting to go, I don't think so, because they've got Unai Emery.
Yeah.
And also, João Pedro, I think, could be a good signing because he could be something you just mentioned, someone who sort of floats around a little bit more. That role that Marco Asensio, I think that this season is a player they should get, is someone who's going to replace that. That'll be a big loss of a presence. And there was a game, I think it might have been the Villa Spurs game actually, and Asensio just controlled the whole game. Like, it was just every time he got the ball, there was swagger and confidence and control. He was beating men, he was on the left, he was on the right, he was deciding when the ball be passed, he was going asking the players for the ball. And I think João Pedro could do that.
Do you know what? Yeah, now we talk about it. What I like actually about him is he's got the ability to drive him in behind at some point, right? He's not just a target man, but kind of to that point of making life difficult for others. And we saw this with PSG. Someone who's just going to leave the centre backs and go away from them. Because I think if you are to the Arsenal point, if you're going to go and engage with the centre backs, you need someone who can battle with them. It feels like, if not, come away from it and then be able to arrive in the box. That's what João Pedro might be an option for in terms of what Emery wants to do moving forward.
What's the deal with Villa and Ollie Watkins?
Isn't he in his last year or something? Let's find out. I think there was talk of him maybe going because they do need the money. Apparently 3 hours ago, Arsenal have decided to revisit it.
If you were Arsenal, would you rather have Ollie Watkins or Sesko?
If I was Arsenal, that's a great question. Again, back to that thing of like, do we need to win now? I think,
because I wonder how much he would cost.
40 million apparently. Villa were unimpressed by Arsenal's bid of 40 million.
Just the word unimpressed makes me giggle. Like,
I love the language in transfers. Yeah.
Not impressed by that.
And I love that it gets leaked. Yeah, all that stuff's getting leaked. Right, it's been mooted. I love all the words. War chest. There's all sorts. In the dying embers of the January... No, something different.
How old is he?
Was he 20... I want to say he's 28, 29. 29! He is. And apparently, he wasn't happy, was he, with not playing in the PSG games with Rashford played.
And I think before they sold Duran, that they were going to...
Did you do that on purpose?
No, because I didn't... Do you know what? Oh, yeah, the band... no, do you know what it is? It's because I didn't know if it was Duran or Duran, so I thought I should do both. Right. But I ended up naming the band, who I wanted to go and see, by the way, but the tickets were way too expensive, so sort yourselves out. But the situation with Watkins, I think Villa in January were willing to let him go, were they not? And then
Carragher
because they sold him.
Yeah, I think Carragher said something like that. You're right. Do you know what? Yeah, a little decoy transfer there. I don't hate that because maybe if you're sort of, I guess obviously you've only got so much money, but Ollie Watkins is not the end of the world. Like, it's utterly proven at Premier League level to score goals. I guess again, if Arsenal are, like I say, are they going to be quick in transition or dominate that final third? Is he that penalty box poacher, or is he better with a team that kind of moves in transition like they do with Villa? That's the question. I think he would be great for them. There's no doubt he scores 15, 20 goals for Arsenal. I don't think you have to worry about that, do you? If he does go there. How much would you think is a fair amount for him?
Depends how long's left on his contract. But I think, there was talk of around 60 in January.
Yeah.
But it looks like they're unimpressed with 40.
They're not impressed, Nave. They're fuming. Where is it? Until 27-28. What year are we in? Okay, so it's
also discontent of the player. Like, obviously he's a total professional and he probably would be okay. But there is an element of, I think actually Ollie Watkins is well within his rights not to be particularly happy with Villa at the moment. There's been games where he's not had minutes where you think, get Watkins on the pitch. And also that whole talk about January and that rumour about him potentially being sold. So maybe he might feel like, do you know what? I want to call it a day here.
I think, I think the thing is, if you can get to Arsenal, great. But if you can't get to Arsenal, where can you get a better move? I'm not sure. So season defining, I like it. Might as well. Not for me. Big mistake. João Pedro.
I quite like it. Quite like that.
I like it too.
Quite like that.
I see no harm in it. Okay. Next up is Samuel Mbangula of Juventus fame. Yes. Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth battling. Another word. I'm going to keep finding the words. It's good. Battling for the signature. That's what they want, don't they? They want the signature of Samuel Mbangula. Hasn't played a crazy amount. 32 times in all competitions. Hasn't started too many. 4 goals, 5 assists. Have you seen much of him?
Yes. So towards the start of the season, that he came into, so Thiago Motta gave him a go, and him and Yildiz seemed to play quite nicely together. Scored in his debut. I could be fibbing to you, but I think he did. He's very raw, and I think his lack of game time towards the end of the season would suggest that maybe his future will be elsewhere.
Yeah, from what I've read, the manager's not the biggest fan.
True, but I think that
did have an injury in April, but still not playing really. Yeah.
What will be fascinating for him will be as a player. He's at a club that's got Champions League football next season. Does he think he can sort of be on the peripheries and break in? Right. If so, why would you leave that? But like you said, there is no guarantee of that. So, yeah, Bournemouth could do another, like what they did with Howson, and get a player from Juventus who might not get minutes at Juventus.
Yeah, I think that's a nice reputation for Bournemouth to have now, where they can kind of keep coming and getting these guys. I was watching a bit on him. I haven't seen a crazy amount of him, to be honest. Loves that cut in and put it in that top right-hand corner. Just seemed to do that a lot, which, is fine and works, and a lot of people, enjoy that.
So is this on the idea that Semenyo's going, or?
That's it. I think it probably is. He's a different, physical profile to Semenyo. Yeah. He's a bit, leaner than that. But yeah, I didn't find him that individual. If I'm honest, he just looked like one of those players that I see a lot of. So yeah, I don't see. I'm sort of indifferent to it, if I'm honest. You know more than me. Where do you want to be with him? Where it could
suit Bournemouth is he's got bags of energy, which could suit Iraola.
Yeah. That's the thing as well. I in my head, Iraola's gone. Do you know what I mean? And that's terrible.
So this is so strange. It's so weird with Bournemouth because it's like, so Howson's defo gone. Kirkes is on the way out.
Yeah.
Do you think really that the club will want to lose Semenyo and Iraola as well in one window?
And that also
destroy them.
Again, this sounds brutal, but it's just the way it is probably. Clive would be going. He'd be looking around. He'd be going to his agent and going, well, is everyone going? If everyone's going, can I, can sort me out as well? Because I thought he was fantastic for them.
I want to know as well, what's the doors open?
yeah, but and I guess that is the problem. It's when you are a successful team, which Bournemouth have been this year. That's the problem, isn't it? People think they can just come and pick them. So I think they need to be, and also they're kind of, with some of their contracts, I wouldn't know what it is for all of them. There will be these clauses, and that's going to kind of make life a bit harder for them, and they've got to go and do it again. So yeah, it's like, what are you going to come into? I have no idea what Bournemouth can look like by the end of it in terms of the management and the playing staff. Or sorry, the forward line, I think in particular. I think after that, Zabani, I think obviously you would imagine would stay, but I guess you're losing to your back four.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to change there. So I think they kind of need to bring in players. Do you think he's good enough to start week in, week out in the Prem?
I couldn't possibly tell you, but there is a lot of talent there. And also, what I will say is I don't think he would cost ridiculously that much. I reckon, sort of similar. Well, Howson was 15 million. I think he wouldn't be that much more than that. So I don't think.
So do you like it?
Either might as well or like it. One of those two, because I don't think it. I think it's. Yeah, might as well actually. You might as well take a chance on him because he's got talent.
Okay, we've kind of got a done deal here, but let's react to it. Kelleher. Kelleher has left Liverpool. I was watching the fantastic Redmen TV with the stunning Chris Pajak, and it was like an obituary. He was sort of a eulogy, about Kelleher, just saying he's the best number 2 they've ever had. 20 goals conceded last year, 20 appearances, 9 clean sheets. Bit of a ripple effect here. Mark Flecken is off to Bayer Leverkusen for 8 mil. Mark Flecken, right? Last couple of years, very underrated. Like the Brentford fans often, and this is a bit of a thing with fans forums. You have like, who's your man of the match? And generally in a defeat, because you're angry at the rest of the team, you'll give it to the goalie. But he was always like right up there on what's it called? My mate's big on it. Griffin Park Grapevine, I think it's called. He was always right up there for man of the match. And also, in a lot of, if you go on the different apps and websites or whatever, he was often in the team of the season for a few teams, Mark Flecken. So a really good goalkeeper to get, only 31 as well, so he's got years left. Keller signed for 12.5 million, can rise to 18 million with add-ons. This is a great signing.
Yeah, it's
surely.
Brilliant signing.
He's 26.
Nice.
I thought he was older than that. Oh, sorry, younger than that. You surprised he's that old? I thought he'd be younger than that. No? Goalkeepers have got a bit more time, haven't they, to mature. Thoughts?
I think that's a brilliant signing. And also another signing, Brentford from Liverpool.
Yeah. Good little
Building a little
link up they've
relationship
got there.
there,
Yeah. I think could be season defining as they continue to sort of try and gently tweak. Again, all these mid-table teams that do well, like Mbermo, obviously going. Some other players might, it'll be interesting to see if anyone else gets sort of not poached. Maybe they won't. Brentford, I can't.
Also, for Kelleher to want to go to Brentford is great for Brentford.
Yeah.
In the sense of there'll have been a lot of clubs that wanted him.
Yeah.
So he's gone there because he thinks they're a club that are attractive for him to go to. That's a real testament to Brentford and how they've stabilised themselves in the Premier League in the last few years.
They're very, very appetising to go to. You're going to go and... Well, although even... What is interesting, though, Carvalho's gone there and hasn't really played last season. So it'll be interesting to see if he does play more so this season with Mbermo leaving. That might leave a little space there for a 10 to play a little bit more. I think it's, as season-defining as it can be for Brentford, who I think are always going to generally be safe. But I think what they are starting to do is they're sort of swimming in different waters now in terms of the players that they're bringing in. And I think that's super exciting for them. Okay, next up, Brighton. Carl Walker-Peters. 28 years old. Good age. 35, no goals, 2 assists, although no one really scored for Southampton last year. Available on a free transfer. A lot of clubs interested. He is this generation's sort of like undercover Prem player. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, like there's some... Who was it? I was talking to someone about Paul Dickoff the other day, right? And I was like, I was thinking, I wonder if he's got a lot of punditry work because he played for Man City and Man City don't have a load of them. But then I was like, he also played for Arsenal and Leicester City and Blackburn Rovers. So he played for some good clubs. And I think sometimes there's players like within the different eras who are like just really good Premier League players who go and play for like a few decent clubs. And I think Carl Walker-Peters is that because I think he's very useful. Yeah. 3.52 progressive carries per 90 and 4.29 progressive passes per 90, which is a hell of a lot actually for a team that finishes bottom, although obviously Southampton's style probably playing a part in that. Obviously can play right back and left back as well.
Yeah, and he gets to still be on the coast.
Yeah, which is integral.
Yeah.
Great shout. Joy, quite literally, based on the summer months and then the winter months, season defining for me. Where is he? Not on my
I don't think as well with Brighton. I think it's a fascinating summer window for them because they went all out last summer, didn't they? Didn't get Europe.
No.
Although, have you seen the latest rumour mill?
No, rumour mill, nice.
Yeah, and something to do with Palace.
Okay.
Might not get Europe after all, and it might be given to Brighton.
Why?
I don't know any information of it,
but
I saw an article and Ollie Thomas, who's the Palace fan, had said something about it. And there's a whole... It's the fact it's those two clubs as well involved. So it's all just a bit crazy.
Do I need to search rumour mill?
What's the deal with...
Where is this rumour mill? If I went on Google Maps and searched Rumour Mill place,
Overcomplicating it by putting Rumour Mill in the thing.
why Crystal Palace may be kicked out of Europe? What? Surely not. Oh, Daily Mail want me to allow ads. No. As the ticker tape fell, the unthinkable unfolded before their eyes. Days after the FA Cup win.
Too much.
Yeah, can you just get to the
chatter
point?
in there? Yeah, just
hang on. Normally they have bullet points at the top. Crystal Palace qualified Europa League by virtue of winning the FA Cup. I know that, but the Eagles maybe get right. That's not helped me. Ownership rules. The issue is the story of modern football. Get on with it.
Not mad keen on multi-club ownership.
Journalism.
Yeah,
That's
another fan of that,
mad
bro.
keen. Yeah. Okay. Cool. That's why they have rules around them. Put simply, clubs with the same owners cannot play in the same competitions. Palace position is complex. Because majority owner, John Textor, is a shareholder in Leon.
So what's the difference between
League.
that and like Forest and Olympiacos? Is it because
Yeah.
it's not the same competition?
Have they been in the same competition though? That's the thing. They haven't, have they? Olympiacos and
Right,
Forest
so,
have not.
yeah.
They've not had that problem. Interesting, because you could like if there could have been one with Chelsea and Strasbourg.
But then
at one
City
point.
and Girona.
Were they both in the Champions League? I think maybe they circumnavigated some way. That's a disaster if that happens. Elsewhere, directors of Man City's sister club Girona stepped down and were replaced by independent lawyers in order to allow both sides to play in the Champions League. Well, whereas Marinakis took preemptive moves to step away from the club should they and his Greek side Olympiacos have qualified. Finn, can you speak on the speaker and just tell us how you feel about this story? About Crystal Palace not being allowed to play in Europe? Finn's in denial. Okay. Anyway, defining by the season, or season defining, Kyle Walker-Peters to Brighton. I'm sticking with that joke, although I am sort of squishing it in there. Jordan James. Jordan James, 20 years old. He's a Welsh international. He has been linked with a move to Burnley. Josh Cullen is linked with a move away. He's been Welsh midfielder for Roch. Never say it. Is that how you say it? 5.11 progressive passes per 90. 4.12 ball recoveries. I asked Kai, who is Welsh, about Jordan James or his thoughts on him. He said he's good. Very complete, very neat. He said like a poor man's Bellingham. I think he meant Joe Bellingham, not Jude. I'm not totally sure. Josh Cullen's been like so important to Burnley. So it'd be interesting to see, if he is to move away. That's a bit of a killer, isn't it? Oh, sorry. Was it just? I've got two different things. We've got just Cullen. We've got Brownhill's contract set to expire as well. He's been linked with Everton, Wolves, Brentford, Celtic, and Rangers as well. So the thing with Jordan James is that I think, he's kind of neat, which Burnley will continue to need. I think with Burnley, it's like it's confusing because defensively they were so strong last season. But can they go and win games? And I don't think he's going to move the needle when it comes to that from an attacking point of view, because he just, from what I've seen of him, he sort of drifts over to that left-hand side and then kind of allows the team to work up the pitch in terms of going and sort of getting impacting the game in terms of goals and assists. Really, you don't really see that with him. So I don't hate it. I think it's good to get a solid young player in. I'm going to go with. Might as well. Although, I guess, question for you when it comes to promoted teams. Is it smart to go kind of big and bring in those players that you just know are Premier League level? Because, do you know what, we could skip to Leeds here, right? So with Leeds, I'm going to go, might as well. With Leeds, they're linked with Callum Wilson. Now, some people might be kind of going, well, he's had injuries over the years or whatever it might be. But the other side of it is like he is a proven Premier League player. So what's the right way to go with that when you're trying to stay in the league?
Depends how much money you've got. It depends what your manager wants to do. Some managers want a younger team, although that's not often been proven to work. Because
33 years old, Callum Wilson. And he's available on a free transfer. So that makes it slightly different, doesn't it?
I think that's the big thing there. A free transfer. Just someone who's got a little bit of experience and know-how on and off the pitch.
I actually just. So I think you're right. Look,
You
I
want
gave
a
you a
blend,
broad
though,
question.
don't you? You want a blend. You want
case
you
by
want
case, right?
both of them.
Yeah.
You want young players, talented players. You might need to take a few gambles so that you've got prospects who could, end up being like, oh, okay. But then also at the same time, you want a couple of older names as well.
Do you know what I think as well? Like, if you're going to be down the bottom, you're going to go through periods of like, how are we going to get a win, or we're not really playing well, or the opposition are kind of dominating us. There's going to be those moments, and so to have someone who can keep it together just a little bit, right? That might be a Barkley at Luton. Obviously, didn't keep him up, but like, you get my point. Like, someone going, he's just got that little bit of quality and experience and calmness to kind of help everyone go, it's okay. Like, just stick together, stay together. Callum Wilson, I love this signing so much because, yes, he's 33, but he takes chances. He's used to having that pressure. He's used to being the Premier League. Okay, he's been at Newcastle, been in the top end of the league, but he's been there when Newcastle have been struggling. He's been there when Bournemouth have been struggling. And I think if he gets a chance, he's very likely to take it. But if he misses that chance, I don't think, no one's really worried about, you're not going, oh, he's a rubbish striker. You don't give up on him. Like, he is guaranteed, he's a Premier League quality striker. And the other thing that's kind of hidden here, I mean, to get him on a free is amazing. The other thing that's hidden here, okay, yeah, he's 33. The reason he's not playing for Newcastle is because Isak's just a joke, as much as anything else. I absolutely love this signing if they can get it done. And I think there's a lot of stuff hidden, because it's like 1 goal in 22 appearances, which obviously looks bad. That's not the truth, in my opinion. I think this is a season-defining one, personally. I feel quite strongly.
Wow. Yeah. Well, worst case scenario, he misses big chunks of the season due to injury, but I think he's on a free transfer, a good presence to have around the club. Sort of in the same sort of mould as there was talk about whether or not Leeds should get James Milner. Like almost come back and just have a name
Nick
like
Barmby
that. Like, I just think sometimes actually, a couple of players that maybe Leeds could do with maybe making their goalkeeper signing someone who's a bit older, who's a bit more senior, and then if they've got him up top, they've sort of got presence on both sides of the pitch. That's a little bit more.
I love it. Honestly, I love this Callum Wilson signing. I think it's a really, really smart one. Really, really smart, because there's going to be tough moments and you'll get like a couple of chances and you just need that guy who just does take those chances. So I'm pushing through. I'm also going to put Kyle Walker-Peters down one because I like it, but it was a joke and I'm backtracking now. Okay. Hugo Ekitike. We've got a done deal and, Chelsea. We've got Hugo Ekitike, which is in the rumour mill right now, currently being refined into transfer flour. And Liam Delap, which is a done deal. Both 22. Ekitike scored 22 goals in 48 games. Delap scored 12 goals in 40 games. 30 million for Delap. So let's start with Delap. Do you think this is a good on Chelsea's behalf? Do you think it's good for Liam Delap?
Good question. I think it's good on Chelsea's behalf. And I think it's good on Delap's behalf.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I think maybe in Coy.
Because I thought Delap was going to go somewhere. I didn't actually think he was going to go to like a Chelsea. I thought he was going to go to somewhere like a Forest or an Everton.
I don't know if it's because Kai's in my ear about Everton. I quite liked the idea of him at Everton in the new ground.
Yeah, I quite liked it.
Kind of like that
too.
That sort of striker, no pressure really on you. You know, you're gonna we're gonna get to an Everton transfer. Like it's David Moyes' team. Get crosses in there. Let Delap do Delap.
Who do you think is gonna get more minutes out of those two? And does it also mean that Chris Jackson? Right?
Well, that's it. So
is he on the way out?
So yeah, the ripple effect of this transfer could be if they go and get both, which I'm going to be honest.
That's where there's question marks. Do they need?
I don't think they need both. The thing is that if the overall strategy has generally been stockpiling great 20 to 22-year-olds, and so I absolutely understand why Chelsea have gone for Delap, and I get why they're being rumoured with Ekitike. Like, how much is Ekitike going to cost? I'll just click on the link here. Let's see what it says. 60 million. He's a really exciting player. I don't 100% know if he fits the Premier League just yet. Or maybe that's an outdated thought in terms of because of how developed the Premier League is now. But also, like, Chelsea, more importantly.
By signing those two, which what we're saying is sort of combined 100 million.
90, yeah.
90.
60, yeah.
By combining those two, is it making it more difficult financially? I think there's other areas that Chelsea, like maybe even the wide areas, there could be...
Yeah, goalkeeper. I need to sort that out.
Goalkeeper, really. Maybe even a bit more depth in the central defensive areas. You could argue. You could perhaps argue that a bit of depth could be needed in the midfield area if there's parts of the season where Lavia might... I don't know how many minutes he'll get because he's a bit injury prone. I
think it's because they've got two teams. You've got players going over to Strasbourg as well. So they've got, and they're all like young, exciting players. So and you've got, what's his name? Esteval on his way from Brazil as a wide player. I don't think they need both. I like Delap on his own because I guess the ripple effect here is if, say, you were to bring in both of them, then Nicholas Jackson might make his way elsewhere. A good option might be Aston Villa. Unai Emery worked with Nicholas Jackson at Villarreal, gave him his La Liga debut. Ekitike, I don't totally see how he fits in this team with the way that Maresca plays with that width, unless you're going to kind of play him out wide, which again goes against what Maresca generally does in terms of Neto and Madueke. And then you've got Palmer trying to get involved with this. Delap I like, because I think one of the problems has been that, just that proper, again, that power forward who's going to be in the box and might sort of pin some centre-backs and then give the ball to Palmer or be in the box ready for those crosses when they come in from Neto and Madueke.
Something I quite liked about what Nicholas Jackson was doing was something you'd mentioned about like dropping into midfield and sort of helping with legs there. And that's actually something that Liam Delap was doing at Ipswich a lot. He was kind of like starting the attacks and finishing them. Yeah. He was all over the place in a good way. So,
do you know what I like as well? Might sound weird. I think Delap comes in for 30 million and first day of pre-season, him and Nicholas Jackson are there and I think both of them think they can start. I think that's a good environment. Whereas sometimes, we just talk about Callum Wilson and Isak. Like, there's a distance. Isak's starting and he's second fiddle. And I think that can be a bit of a problem. Whereas I think Delap, probably why he's kind of gone there, is he's gone, well, everyone's kind of young here, so I don't need to be intimidated. And actually, I think people quite like the way he plays. It's a bit more of an old school centre forward, likes to unsettle defenders. I think he will see the opportunity to displace Jackson and kind of be able to go for it. So whoever you're putting in, but Jackson will also be like, this is still my shirt. So I think that might work quite well for them. And for 30 million...
Yeah, I think that's brilliant.
You're not going to lose money on him, are you? Say you had to sell him, you're probably not going to get, you wouldn't get any less than 30 million, would you? So I actually, the more I think about it, I like it. And they've got Champions League football, of course, in the league. So could be one, it might do 60 minutes, 30 minutes between the two of them. Yeah. I like it. Season defining. That good? What do you think?
I think it's... I don't know if I'd use the word season defining, but it feels like a top tier signing. Do you know what I mean?
And cheap as well. Yeah.
That's what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm intrigued to see how he swims in those waters of like, you're the proper striker at a big team where the crowd will, like, if you're not delivering, they will turn on you. Like, that's the level, that you see when you're at those top teams. How will that feel for him? Like, would he have got a bit more kindness and time if he'd gone to Man United as opposed to Chelsea?
Neither of those clubs, you don't get kindness or time.
Right. So, yeah, but Everton and Forest, maybe he would have, but it would have been a different kind of game. What he'll be able to do is go there and like Chelsea will dominate most games that they play, which will be different for him, as opposed to Ipswich. Okay, where are we? Crystal Palace, Christian Mosquera. I really like this option. So Mark Gay, I think last time we chatted, the first time we chatted, we were talking about Mark Gay, and I was saying it was incredibly heated. Yeah. I was saying you should take that money for him. They didn't. Since then, they've won the FA Cup, of course. And Daniel from HLTCO sat in that chair, and he said, he was quite clever. He was like, you sort out a contract that there's a release clause, but it's after next year. That means you're playing every week. That means you're kind of set to get yourself in that England squad for the World Cup, and you get to enjoy the Europa League. So you're still kind of progressing. Life's great. So it feels like they might be able to kind of keep hold of him. But Mosquera plays for Valencia, and it's kind of a similar vibe to the Lacroix signing in the sense of like, you know, kind of bring him in. And if you've still got Mark Gay knocking about, you don't have to go and get that loan of Chalobah or someone like that. You can kind of just still develop him, drip him in and out. He plays on the right side of a 3 generally for Valencia, so he'd move over and it wouldn't be that big of a change for him. Can play in a 4 as well, and it was on the right hand side, so I think it would be Chris Richard. It's Chris Richard, isn't it? Would be the guy that he might take his place if he was to. He's only 20, and his one-on-one defending is amazing. And I think the ripple effect of this would be that Palace with Munoz, he could go for it a little bit more and not worry about getting back and being as diligent as he maybe has had to be. Not because Chris Richards is not good defensively at all. He's brilliant, but you can really leave this lad like on his own, and he's very, really, really agile on his feet when players are trying to get past him, and then he just sticks his arm across and gets the ball back. The 17 million they're saying it's going to cost. This is good squad building, I feel.
I was going to say they're assembling quite the squad, aren't they?
Quite the squad. Yeah, I agree.
And it's a huge thing for them as well. Is if they make their business quick. If I was Palace and like I'm part of this group of lads that's managed to win the FA Cup and get into Europe, maybe if we hadn't won the FA Cup, I'd be looking at where I could move to. But now I'm like, let's have a year, let's have it together. You know, we did this together.
I agree. Yeah, same with people like Adam Morton. I like it. Neve likes it.
Seems good.
Cool. Everton. Matt O'Reilly.
Ooh.
Yeah. 24 years old, 26 appearances, 2 goals, 4 assists. Signed last summer for Celtic. Around 25 million. A Scottish transfer record. Only managed 12 90s this season. And just over 1,000 minutes in all competitions. Suffered a bad ankle injury at the start, which made life a little bit difficult for him. Everton are in the mix. After, I think it's like 8 transfer windows where they've basically been having to behave as much as possible. And now they're kind of around the other side of it. How big do you think they'll go? The other option is Ben Doak, who I saw he played for Middlesbrough this year. Obviously, there's a Liverpool link there. Makes it a bit weird. Like Liverpool to Everton, is that allowed? But I watched him against QPR and I couldn't believe... we really struggled with him, but our left back was actually a right back, and he's not good enough as a right back in the Championship. So he got taken to the cleaners by him. But what I couldn't believe was how much he got. They just gave it to him and like, have another go. Gave it to him like, have another go. And he's so direct in terms of dribbling at the opposition. The one thing.
How transferable do you think it would be to the Premier League? So
I looked into that because I was thinking, I don't know. Like I was like, it felt a bit one-dimensional. It depends how you want to spin it. It was like nice and old-fashioned winger play, but it felt a bit like you didn't need to take him on every single time. And so then I watched. Well, first of all, I looked at more clips of him, more like just seeing like take on, and there's so many there, and he was giving the ball away quite often. And then I looked at his FB ref, and it was bad. Like in terms of his ability to. He's taking on players all the time. In terms of progressive passes received, he's in the top 1%. But in terms of completing those dribbles, he was like, it was bad. Like it was in the red. So my fear is against better fullbacks, he might have a bit of a problem if you're expecting him to come in, no pun, like hit the ground running and start and be like a really, really crucial cog for Everton. But like he is 19, so he's got time.
Yeah, I think Everton could do with signing a player, whether it be if Dominic Calvert-Lewin's going the other way, whether it be a striker or someone on that right hand side who is to a certain level, I think.
Yeah, you got to be effective, haven't you? Yeah. That's the thing. Like it's all good and well if like everyone wants a winger that's great at dribbling past players, but you got to be able to dribble past players instead of kind of get caught with the ball. Well, look, coming through the ranks of Liverpool, it must be all right. And I think I've been intrigued to know what Middlesbrough fans think of him. Obviously, you guys would have seen him far more than me. It was just that was what in my mind, and then I looked into it, and it didn't look amazing in terms of the stats. How do you feel about Everton broadly as well? Does it feel like a fresh start for you, or are you wary?
I feel a lot more positive about them post David Moyes coming in, which is fascinating. But we'll see how much they're able to spend. I think what they've done by bringing him in for the end of that season is they've suddenly made Everton a much more attractive club to go to than it was
massively
before.
Massively, I agree.
And in that new stadium as well.
Yeah, I think that normally I'm wary of a new stadium. I think with this is I think they'll all be just so excited by it. Yeah. Matt O'Reilly and Ben Doak. Then thoughts? I think they do need another midfielder in there as well. Doucouré's gone, big wages gone there. Ben Doak. I don't want to do not for me, but I might need to. Matt O'Reilly is my opinion. Matt O'Reilly, that seems mad though. No, might as well. 19. And Matt O'Reilly, I really like if he can get it done. I think he's very, very neat. What do you think, Nave? Happy to move him?
I don't feel passionate enough to have a go at you. No, just no.
Right, let's keep going. Fulham, Davy Selke. So Davy Selke, 30 years old. He's been in Bundesliga 2. 6'5" striker. Also wanted by West Ham and Leeds. Scored 1.02 goals per 90. Wow. I looked into him a bit. I think the thing I'm aware of, don't put your house on him would be my fear. The fact that
because it would really hurt him.
Yeah, he is. But he's 6'5".
Actually,
it depends how big the house is.
That's got West Ham written all over, isn't it? From a 6'5" striker from Germany.
Yeah, which actually I think of. Yeah, I think there's a few now knocking about. I've actually just put forward a 6'7" maybe striker from Italy forward for West Ham in a video recently. 30 years old. Wait, he's had a good
6
season.
foot. Is it Lorenzo Luca? Yeah.
You rate him?
Yeah, I like him a lot. I also had him in my Football Manager save, so I
want
him to do well.
Yeah, he's got it was his header. He's got this header. I was like, oh my God.
He's bloody good at headers.
Yeah. It's a weird talent, that, isn't it? You're just like a beast at headers. So yeah, 36'5". I think it's just a bit. It's for Fulham. They've had Muniz and Raul Jimenez. I like them both, but when it's just striker and it's just our striker, I think you want something a bit more exciting than that.
I think Muniz is going to have a breakthrough season this coming up season. Yeah, 100%. And I actually think who's created this player? Is this because there's interest that has been read, or what's the reason why we've put him down here?
Well, he's the biggest transfer that's being linked with them right now.
Because if it's linked and it's them, he would suggest that it is going to be Muniz's breakthrough, and they're going to push of him. Because surely you wouldn't be bringing this guy in to be the first.
Maybe
that's because a 30-year-old in the second tier of Germany.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, 22 and 31 games. It's great. Obviously, it's great. But like you say, to go from... I mean, I guess if it's a striker that's been really good in the Championship and they move up, then, you've got a bit of a pinch of salt, don't you? Like Shea Adams just springs to mind. There's so many, isn't there? Like Armstrong, those players that you think, well, look, they banged in all the goals. He must be able to do it at this level. But
it's like the sort of player that you'd sign for a very specific reason. Like if you've got something in mind of an idea of a way that you're going to attack, or is there something area you want to improve in the box? Like it feels like a specific player.
I agree.
With an idea in mind.
I'm gonna go with. I did watch a bit of him. I don't think it's a big mistake. Depends how much he's going to cost, doesn't it? That's the thing. How much is he going to cost? Let's have a look. All right, his contract expires June 30th. Yet to agree an extension. So it's one where might as well now, isn't it?
Yeah.
He's going to sit on the bench though, isn't he? You're not going to start him. Can't be a big mistake, can it? Not for me.
I think what you say his contract
expires. Might as well.
Yeah, but God.
Literally, we haven't got
massive.
Right, we're going to at some point someone will be in not for me or big mistake. Guaranteed, I promise you. Next up, Leeds. We've done that. Okay, Liverpool. Let's do the done deal first. Jeremy Frimpong, 24 years old.
Crazy.
10.2 progressive passes received. Much more of an attacking wing-back by trade was a great phrase to say. He's who is it?
It really is as well, because like when the games I've watched, even his vantage point of when they are defending, when they are actually defending, he is still positioned high like he's a midfielder, so that when they get the ball, he's in a better position to go right up the pitch.
Yeah.
So it's a fascinating signing, especially with Kirkers on the left.
Which is not done yet, but it's been mooted within the rumour mill. Yeah, so I think there's going to be a real change here, clearly. Does that feel a bit weird, just because they've won the league, to change so much? But I guess it's kind of had to be done.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's quite exciting. I'd be excited if I was a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, it's nice spending money, isn't it? Lovely, like new shiny things. And like he's obviously done well there. 5 goals, 12 assists this season. Where would you put him? Do you think he will work? Because I will say with Frimpong, I think most people will go like, okay, how's this going to work? But he's not ripping it up. He's kind of ripping it up. He's moulding it into something different here.
And also, we don't know what Slot, when he's looking at these players, we don't know if it's as cut and dry as Slot's thinking, right, the player that you are there, you're going to be here. He might have something in mind to take over his profile, his qualities. He might have something in mind, something a bit different, like what he's done with players already at Liverpool.
Yeah.
Like Gravenberch, for example.
I think there's a tactical tweak coming. There's a video on the channel going up today. So you can go and watch that to get all the details. But I do think it's kind of season defining in the sense of like it needs to work. Like if you're going to bring him in and you're obviously going to play him with, because say on the left-hand side, say Kirkes isn't going great. You've got, if Robertson stays, by the way, what a deputy you've got there in terms of Robertson, who kind of got run into the ground a bit probably this year, I would imagine, with the amount of games that he had to play. Whereas if he's just playing like 30 and he's, chomping at the bit, I think that's an incredible like backup.
The only thing where, if you were to be devil's advocate to it being amazing, is the job that Van Dijk and Konate going to have to do quite substantial next season? And if there's a game, let's say already this season, in that game when Van Dijk didn't play and it was just Konate, I was a bit like, ooh, I worried a bit for Liverpool's defence. And so that's my only sort of thing, is imagine if Van Dijk suddenly has to do a lot more work, and let's say one of his strengths has been availability for Liverpool, right? Plays pretty much every game.
Yeah.
What if this is the season where lots of work, a little bit older? What if
there's a ripple effect that he's put to the test a bit too much?
What happens if he has to rest or he gets an injury?
Yeah, that's true. I agree. I think
that could be reading into it too much.
Do they need another centre back as well? That'd be an interesting one to kind of think about in terms of the next backup for them. Because does Joe Gomez still want to be there? Like, I guess you got Kwanzaa.
Is Kwanzaa good enough?
I think he's good, isn't he?
He's good, but is he good enough for a team that wants to win the league?
Yeah, I think it's season defining. Here's why. I think it will have an effect on Salah a little bit in terms of like maybe the areas that they get into. I think there's the different phases of build up as well, which I think there's been a bypassing of that sometimes with Trent to Salah. That's worked brilliantly this year, but I think Arne Slot's feeling that like that can't be the case forever. So you need new ways for it to work, and I would back Arne Slot to get it right, absolutely. But with the amount of goals that Salah's got, you've got another guy who quite likes to be high and wide. It is going to change him a little bit. So if it needs to work for Liverpool to kind of win enough games to win the league again, which is obviously going to be the target next year. So I would say it's season defining. Vert, it's in the offing right now. Apparently it's going to be, I heard something about like they want like 150 million and that Liverpool are going to get quite close to that. Maybe that's crazy. Liverpool's second bid totaling 130 million euros for Wirtz has been rejected. Amazing.
So if they were to sign Wirtz, what have they got in mind? Verts and McAllister in midfield with Gravenberch. What's the situation there?
I think it's one where Verts starts kind of on the left. I thought there was something on my screen, but it was actually Verts blowing a bubble, chewing gum bubble. I think Verts will play on the left and be able to drift in because Kerkez will go. That's what I think. But maybe he'll look to. I don't know. I mean, that feels like the obvious one for me.
So does that mean they're not going all out on a striker then? They're not going to replace Darwin? They're not going to do that?
I think
they're sticking with him.
So I think there's options there. Like I think João Pedro's not the worst option for Liverpool, and I think if you're thinking about Salah and Frimpong and Kerkez and Verts, can you have someone who kind of not Firmino but that kind of vibe that's actually steps away from it, like we've been talking about, and then leaves that space in behind for Salah to go and get that way instead of it being someone who's, you know, getting at those centre-backs. I think that might be his route. I
wonder if Slot then is looking at PSG. We talked about like the impact of PSG. There's an impact in that you can have two fullbacks who
both
love to go forward.
Yeah.
But like when one's on one side, so like when Hakimi's bombing forward, obviously Nuno will take a step back. And obviously the midfielders as well. But I think the way it works with PSG is because they've got three midfielders that are all very comfortable with sort of covering for those fullbacks. Yeah. Whereas I don't know. So it plays into you saying that Verts will play on the left, so that you keep Gravenberch and Szoboszlai in that midfield. Surely you want two players of that mould who will cover, and there's lots of rotation there.
Yeah, I guess also it's like where and when are you pressing a little bit. I also think Gravenberch might do. I think he might drop back into the. I think you might have moments to that point where I was talking about with a 4-4-2 mid block. You want to get around that. Great way of getting around that too is having a 3. And someone like Gravenberch, which he's done a few times, sort of peeling off to one of those centre-back positions. I could see that happening. If you think of PSG, like Vitinha going over to that left-hand side, and then... So imagine this, in the PSG game, you had Vitinha would go over to that left-hand side, Ruiz would drop in if you needed to pick it up, and Neves could come and help as well. But then the left-back, Mendes, would go play as an 8 or something. And so that's how it kind of all rotated and moved around. With Liverpool, Gravenberch could drop in. He could drop in between Konate and Van Dijk, or he could drop into the side. And then you could have Kerkez goes. And if Verts starts wide, he could then step in here. But you've still got McAllister and Szoboszlai who could step in to that Ruiz role to pick up the ball as well. I think that's what he's up to.
Do you think Slot will want? Because I think Slot has actively made it so that Salah hasn't had to come back too often this season that we've just had.
Absolutely.
I don't think that was a case of Salah not wanting to. I think it was just part of his instructions.
It's an outball, yeah, totally.
Do you think this team is assembling now? It's still going to apply, or do you think he'll want Salah to come back a little bit more?
I think less. I think it'll be a bit more risky from them. I think he might start wide because Salah wants to start wide. If you're in the final third, he wants to start wide, then step in, right? What's quite nice with that is you could have Frimpong with underlapping runs, or if Salah then comes into the half spaces, Frimpong could go around the side. I think you might see Salah be a bit more narrow and come to the ball a little bit more. But I think in the first build-up phase, I think he might still be kind of high and wide. Be interesting. I think it will change at different times, but I think it's clear. If you're going to have two wing back, that's what I mean. You've got Kerkez and Frimpong are like wing backs, aren't they? They're not full backs. So if you're going to play like wing backs, ideally you probably get someone who does sort of drop in to help out with that. And I don't know. That's what I think might be happening with Gravenberch. Anyway, Verts, big money, big pressure. Will it work out?
I mean, it's Verts. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want to say anything negative about that because he's just so talented,
good, isn't he?
Yeah.
I think it's season defining as well because. Oh, is it season defining?
It shocked me. I must admit, it's even
the
though
amount of money
it's exciting. It shocked me that that's what they're choosing. I thought they were going to put all that money into a striker.
I wonder if they're going, look, let's have a look at the market, and we're not totally sold on putting all our eggs in those baskets. But with Wirtz, he's just a stunning footballer, isn't it? You're never going to get bored of having him around. You know, if you could pick a player in world football, like, he's one of them.
Yeah.
You know, he's one of the few that are like knocking about. It is a lot of money, though. It is a lot of money. Season dividing, just because I think we'll be talking about him a lot.
Makes last summer look even better, though, for Liverpool. The fact that they held back.
Yeah.
They
massively.
held back. And not enough clubs, I don't think, get enough. Like, we never compliment a club on showing a bit of resistance to temptation.
Yeah, totally. Because there's always another season. And if it's not... Say they hadn't won the league this year. Like, as long as they'd been in the Champions League, it would have been sweet. And even if they hadn't, it would have been okay, I think. No, they've done really well. Man City. Ait-Nouri. Linked Romano's saying stuff. Saying that he's on his way. I think this one's been been rumoured for a while. And apparently he's already said yes to Man City. I mean, you would. What do you think about Ait-Nouri? Can he make that step up? Another flying fullback.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fascinating, isn't it?
Another wing back.
Because they were rumour that they were interested in Ola Aina as well.
Right.
So
they're low on out and out fullback wing backs. 2.57 progressive carries per 90, 3.96 take-ons attempted per 90. Yeah, been at Wolves last year he's only 23.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's been there a while, hasn't he? I think
maybe you're right. Maybe Luis Enrique's PSG are having a real influence on managers because
maybe he's going to carry the ball. Yeah, you've got to have these players that want to run with the ball. I think everyone's sort of set. No, you've got to break that somehow.
Also, I think the more elite teams are in a desperate attempt to make the pitch as big as possible as well. You're seeing loads of teams come in and they disrupt and break because they've got these blocks and I think they're wanting to create. They're finding ways to prevent space for these big teams, and the big teams now need to create this space.
Yeah. Also, I think you're right. If that's where the space is, how can you be effective in that space? Because if everyone's going right. Don't come through the middle. So then those players out wide are so important. And if you've got a player just sort of stands there and plays it, that's not good enough. Like, you need someone who's going to overlap, underlap, drive with the ball if they need to as well. And so I like it. We haven't got a single not for me yet. Oh, Ekatike. That's a not for me. That's from earlier.
I think there's a lot of qualities to his game. However, I do think that I can understand why Chelsea could do with one of their attackers being a bit better at scoring. I can understand that. Because I feel like all across the front line, there's been times throughout the season where converting chances has been...
Yes. Has that been when Jackson's not been available? That's the one thing I would chuck out there. 10 goals in the Premier League from an XG of 12.34. It's not outrageously elite. Goal conversion of 13%. Not good. Maybe you're right. Kind of still feel like there's a good player there, but maybe you get someone who's a bit more clinical, like Ekatike. Stylistically, I don't know. I just think I'd stick with Jackson. I'd give him a bit more time, personally. And I need someone in the not for me category. So we're going to do that. Man United. Brian Mbeumo, 25 years old. 25. All these guys look so much older than this. Overachieved his XG by 7.7. Wow. The most in the Premier League. Second highest being Chris Wood with 6.6. Thoughts on Mbeumo?
They had Newcastle written all over it. I felt he just slot in so nicely there.
Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it? I think the approach United are taking now, I don't know if it's the manager doing this, is if you're looking at like Cunha and Mbeumo, it's almost like we need to get some players in who will hit the ground running straight away. We can't take gambles. Yeah,
you're right. I think, but I get the logic. You've got two players that I think will fit in. Both have a bit of versatility about them. Both both 25. Both with solid experience in football, if you know what I mean. both have, done well
Mm.
in the last season. The question mark is always going to be, can they deal with the spotlight and the noise of Man United? That's always going to be my question. But if you've not got an outrageous amount of money, although I don't know where people are getting sold, aren't they? I don't know where they're getting it. Like, I don't know how this is working in terms of like all the money that they're kind of bringing in to pay for these guys. But yeah, you kind of do need them to work, but in terms of the things that you would probably want if you're going to buy someone for it to work, like I say, age, have done it for a couple of seasons in the right league. It's not like you're going, Bundesliga, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
At least they've done it in the Premier League. I think in Burmo, I'm amazed how much he's developed. I'm absolutely amazed.
I think what's good as well is like there's more to his game than that. So the fact that he's massively, the volume of finishing, I don't personally think that's like sustained. I don't think that. I think it's very unlikely that he's gonna do that again.
Sure.
But there's so much more to his game, so it's not like the end of the world if he doesn't.
Yeah, it's a great point. And he works hard, knows the league. He can sort of play as an inside forward or play out wide, which he's kind of done with Brentford, obviously playing in a. And then sometimes they play with the back three, but yeah, I like it. I do like it.
So when they start their team, what is it like? Him and Ahmed.
I think he's going all out attack, Amrim. I think he's going because you've still got like hard work and energy there. I wonder if you're going. They still need to. I don't know what the striker is, and if that's going to change. But of those 2 10s, I would imagine, does Diallo stay as a right wing back, and then Mbeumo as one of the 10s, Cunha as one of the 10s. Who's the striker? That's the question. And then who's the left? I guess the left wing back as well is kind of up. Oh no, sorry, you got Dorgu on the left hand side. You also got Mount, who could get involved with that, but obviously you need more than just 11 players. You need a squad that's going to do it. And Bruno destined for the double pivot. Now he's staying.
He's definitely staying.
Sounds like it, yeah. I don't think we'll see. I think with the players that we're seeing being bought and the system we know who's going to play, I don't think Bruno. I think you've got players now. You've got Mount, Cunha, and Mbeumo. You don't need Bruno up and amongst that. You want him in that double pivot, which I think he's better at there anyway.
And do you think that he'll tell Bruno?
Sorry?
Do you think he'll tell Bruno to be a bit more disciplined within the position as well next season? Because I think Bruno's absolutely so talented, United's best player. But that's my only thing I would say with him is I don't actually know. If you'd have to ask all the players and say, like, can you give me your honest answer? Do you like that Bruno goes everywhere or not?
I wonder if he's been going everywhere because he's trying to solve it for others. I think if he sees Cunha there and he sees, he can see it a bit better. Like you stay out of people's way. So I think he would stay out of people's way, and also you got a player that can go. You say to him, "I want you to come and get on the ball all the time," and Cunha's going to be there, and Mbeumo's there if you want him. And,
hang on, so you're saying Cunha, Mbeumo, Bruno? Where does Mainu fit into this, or does he not?
Well, someone needs to get sold. Someone's going to have to get sold.
Is that?
And you can't get everyone in
balanced enough? Bruno.
I think you're going to need Ugarte with all these attacking players. I mean, I guess you could put Mbeumo through the middle, which he has done for Brentford. So maybe you might do that. And then you mix it around a little bit. But he needs more than 11 players as options. That's a good thing. Cunha, if you go, can you play up front for us? He could do that. And Mbeumo, can you play up front for us? Yeah, he can do that as well. Got Xerxes knocking about as well, which could be interesting. Say Xerxes stands still. You got Cunha can go and Mbeumo can go. That's quite nice.
I kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
But do you not question whether or not it... I know this sounds crazy, but when you look at that, unless they were to bring a new manager in, looking at what they're looking to sign, as talented as Bruno is, does he really suit that? Or is there better ways of getting a bit more balance in that team?
Maybe. I like that. Yeah, as I say, I think he's going for it. And I think if because when you've got a back three, if you've got players that, like I say, football's about concern. You've got players of the opposition going, oh, I've got Cunha running at me and Burma running at me. I've got Dorgu running at me. I've got all these players, Diallo. I've got all these players. Then you've got then when you're thinking about your back three, the back three becomes, let's say it's De Ligt, Yoro, and Mazraoui, maybe.
Or Maguire.
Yeah, or Maguire. Like whoever that three is, that's. You kind of go, we'll leave them to deal with it because we're getting at the opposition from that point of view.
Could do a faster centre back, maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, De Ligt, I don't really know how quick he is. I'm sure he's not like outrageously rapid, but you imagine he'd probably be the central one. But Maguire's done really well as well, to be fair. But like all of a sudden, that looks better.
It looks better, but it still looks. I don't know if that's particularly balanced.
I think it's very attacking. It's very attacking. It's balanced if that works. Do you know what I mean? Like it's good to be. It's all right being not balanced if the ball's in your half the whole game. Like if teams are able to get out, that's when you could be a bit nervous because you're. But it might be for someone like Ugarte who's not been great on the ball. His job will be to sort of break play up. In terms of balance, you're right. There it might be one, but if you're going to Ugarte, go and get at them. You might be a bit scared because. Does that mean that now all of a sudden Bruno Fernandes is the one that's sitting there? Because you kind of don't want Ugarte totally sitting there.
Also, a big risk is you bring all these players in and you're going to have them... Clearly, players seem to find it quite difficult adapting to what Amorim wants to do. And they look a bit uncomfortable. You bring in all this new set of players, this rebuild, and you say to them that you want to do it. If it doesn't go well to say in a few months' time or whenever it is that they then decide to move on from Amorim, if they do, right, all that you've just spent the summer learning.
Oh my God, yeah.
Actually, take it all back. We're going to go back to a normal system, and because the next manager is going to do. I cannot imagine there's a world where they get the next manager in and it's anything like what Amorim's doing. Because how many is there out there that do that kind of thing?
Yeah, and that's what I think over this bad period, you've gone, oh God. Like, because it has washed away all the good feeling around him that was there right at the start, where everyone was backing him. Yeah. And we're all kind of going, this looks a bit dangerous now. But like I say, I think hybrid players that can play in different positions, that's generally quite a good thing. And I think Mbeumo, I like it. That's how I feel. Yeah. You're not sure?
No, I'm
it's
not.
More like, I get what you mean. It's that midfield too, isn't it?
I absolutely love Mbeumo. I just don't know.
How you fitting everyone in?
I just don't. I don't. I'm just trying to figure out where players will fit into the team.
No, I get it. Okay. James Trafford, ex-Bolton. Yeah. 22 years old. 29 clean sheets. I think this might be not right. It might be wrong. Burnley. I don't think. It's either one or two of these things. It's either Burnley didn't concede more than one goal in a game this season, or there was like 2 games where they conceded more than one. That's mental.
Yeah, they definitely did. I think they did concede more than one in some. Yeah, no, yeah. There were so many games where it finished like 1-0.
Crazy.
All those clean sheets as well, like midway through the season, after the owner had said something to James Trafford as well, like if you keep a clean sheet.
Oh, really?
To the end of the season, he'd do something, but I can't remember what he said he'd do now.
Right, sell him. So expected cost between 30 and 40 million for the Newcastle signing. They rejected bids last summer of around 16 million. You know him better than me, Trafford. Yeah, no. Is he good enough to come in and start? Would he displace Pope? Joke there.
I think he's good enough. Yeah, I do think he's good enough. I think I wouldn't use that season with Burnley in the Premier League last time out because I don't think he was ready that season.
Yeah.
Because when he first signed for Burnley, remember I was on Sky for that, and it was like a hot or not, and I had that as a not, just purely on for that season.
Yeah.
It felt like you're really throwing him in at the deep end there, whereas especially now he's got a lot more experience on his side and. He's a lot more confident in himself. He said some stuff like, I think he called himself world class.
Did he?
So he's confident, confident guy.
Wow.
And I think the way that Newcastle play, because he's not going to be in at the deep end with a team fighting to stay up, or you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like he's joining a team that's sort of not dissimilar to what he had in the Championship with Burnley, but like in the Premier League, like you joining one of the best teams in the league, kind of thing. But then it's one for the future as well. I think it's a really clever signing, to be honest.
Yeah, you like it?
Yeah, I really like it.
Okay, we're being very complimentary, aren't we? You would though, and you see clubs are smarter than ever these days. That's the problem, and it feels like unnecessary cruel to just go. You're a disgrace.
Also, you can't. Yeah, I just think it's so difficult before a ball's been kicked to criticise.
But a great format all the same. Igor Jesus, that's the one. He's the big head in my tier list. So Forest are reportedly working on a trio of Brazilian signings from Botafogo, led by Igor Jesus, along with Jair Cunha and Quabano. Definitely said that one wrong. Interesting little strategy Forest have got in terms of just looking at some sort of rogue areas that you've not seen an outrageous amount of Premier League players, and they love a Brazilian. The Forest lot. I was watching him. Can it transfer from the Brazilian league to here? Botafogo are good, and I watched him, and he's quite. I see the fit at Forest because he's a bit Chris Woody, but he's got so much more pace about him. Really good at scoring headers. Only 7 goals in 24 appearances this season, but I think as an understudy to Chris Wood, that you can kind of bring in and because they like to break, don't they? But I think as they break, Chris Wood will kind of stay there and flick it on, or slowly make his way up. He does it in a different way. Jesus is he's a big lad, but he's got some pace about him as well, big chest. And so he's the same profile. You can play the same way, but he's a different kind of player. 24, obviously got to step into this league and step up, which is tricky. I guess it depends on how much he costs, which I should have looked at, but I haven't. Let's see if I can find out.
There's a nice bit of tenacity from Brazil as well, isn't there, in players that I think would suit Forest?
That's true. I can't see the price here. Might as well. Chuck it in there. I don't think it's a big mistake because you've got another striker and they do need depth because they've got European football. But it's the Conference League, isn't it? So, might as well. Wilfried Singo to Sunderland, 24 years old. Centre-back at Monaco. Is it more important for the teams coming up from the Championship to ensure their defensive unit is of the standard rather than their attacking options? Thoughts? And broad thoughts on Sunderland?
I don't think you can ask me that.
Okay.
Because you don't know what... I think it really does depend on the style and what they want, how they want to approach games, and how they want to...
We had Ned and we did a whole pod on on staying up and how you stay up and some of the ingredients you need to stay up. And he did say you need to be able to stay in a game, but you also need to be able to have a strategy of how you're going to win the game. So to your point, it is a hard one to kind of answer.
Because I think belief is probably one of the biggest things. And I think if you are going into every game, if you focus on that defensive aspect, right, you can focus on it all you like, but it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to a game and get a clean sheet. So, but if that is your focus every week, is we can't concede, we've got to go into... I think you're creating a mindset that's not the most healthy. You want to have a bit of belief going into the game that you're going to that game to score. Yeah,
and I think that's why I love the Wilson one, because it might be one where, right, come on, let's stick together, because we've got a goal scorer up there. You've got a chance if you've got a goal scorer up there, someone that you can I think there've been teams that have come up and then they're sort of sticking with that striker that did well the year before, and you're hoping he will do well this time, but you're not totally believing in him. I think with Callum Wilson, you kind of get that. Sunderland, obviously, in terms of their centre-backs, I think they do need another centre-back. Luke O'Nien, I love him. He's my spirit animal footballer. But I just wonder, in the Premier League as a centre-back, I'm just not totally sure about that, but I'm more than happy to be wrong. I really hope I am. Daniel Ballard, I like. Again, I think maybe, some help alongside him. Chris Mepham, who came on that playoff final, was brilliant. He obviously has that Premier League experience. Is he on loan? Has he gone back now? Maybe he's gone back now. And so, yeah, I think they do need a centre-back. And I think Asingo at 24, they've kind of used that market a lot, haven't they? Playing for Monaco. I think I don't see the harm in it. I don't think how it can be a huge mistake for them. And if you think someone like, say like Wolves, bringing in someone like Agbadou, who's got that presence, like if you are going to be sort of dealing with crosses a lot, which Sunderland haven't always had the ball in their games. They've had to be able to defend. You're going to need that. And him and Ballard actually could be really, really helpful to their chances this season. Can't be him. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, last few. Spurs, Leroy Sané, 29.
Wow.
So good looking, isn't he? Do you agree?
Yeah, I'm just thinking about him. What?
How good looking it is.
No, what? That I quite like that.
I think my fear is can he like rip it up? I think if you're going to have him and he's 29, you want him to rip it up. 13 goals, 6 assists this season. A whopping, this is mad, 15.2 progressive passes received per 90, which means he's obviously an amazing outlet, but he's also gets given the ball because Bayern Munich are so dominant in every game they play. There'll be a new sort of level of hard work and not having the ball that he might have to have at Tottenham, which is different. Obviously, he's been in the Premier League before, 44 assists in 135 games for Man City, scored 39 goals as well.
Do you know something though? Throughout the season, there's been loads of times where Son, who's been one of my favourite players in England for a decade, it's been sad watching him this season because there's been loads of times where like he's driven forward with the ball, and you can see that that hunger in his face and that desire in his face, determination. That it's not ever by no like effort, like his effort levels are still there, but like plenty of times where maybe he's driven with the ball and then he's turned back. Yeah. Or he's not beaten man in the way that he used to, and he's just not had that electricity. That was something when Sané was at City that they've not since had much of it. City they lost a bit of something, a bit of that direct sort of drive, and also an underrated aspect of Sané's game was he was really like clever at knowing what to do very quickly. Like he wouldn't like a lot of. You'd got like the different wingers who might do something fancy on the ball and it might look good, but not necessarily the best for the game. Whereas I always felt with Sané, he was always like super intelligent with what he did. I think that would be a top quality player for them to sign.
Yeah, I think the thing I'm trying to figure out here is like, yeah, obviously the price matters. Sorry. So when he's out of contract in the summer, there you go. Should probably read these before. Sorry, guys. Available on a free transfer.
Free transfer as well?
I was going to say, like, if it's like, spending 40 million, you're not going to get anything back. He's going to get high wages at Tottenham. But on a free. Something in my gut, I don't like it.
Why?
I guess it's like, I guess you need that. You need that experience there. Like, does it feel like after everything he's kind of achieved and the teams that he's been at, it feels like to that point of like the hunger when you're on the way up. There's not obviously all the way down. It's an enormous club. Maybe like he'll be excited to be one of the leaders in that group. Maybe, but something in my gut, I just don't like it.
I can't see that. He's a great presser as well. I really like Leroy Sané.
Go on, you say.
I don't think Spurs could do much better than a player like that.
You're right.
That is he's so good.
Yeah, as long as he's doesn't get beaten up by it. Do you know what I mean? I don't know what it is. Something don't feel right there. Maybe it's just because it feels a bit alien for a player that quality to just head off there, and he's still in his 20s. What are you saying then? You like it or season defining?
A lot.
That sounds like season defining.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm fine with that. Yeah, you're probably right.
Because that is one of the key things I think Spurs have really been missing, is a player of that quality.
Do you know what it is? And I think this is probably really unfair, is I feel like he's a bit of a luxury player. And I don't think that's probably not correct. I think I'm being shallow. I think I might be being shallow. But there's something that, I bow to you. I think you're right. You're probably right. West Ham, Rafael Onyedika. In terms of, he's a midfielder, and they kind of need his ball-winning ability. I think that's a massive problem for West Ham last year. Just like it felt like they had a lot of although they got had Alvarez and players like that. But I think since Rice has left, that guy who's just got like a bit too much energy, if that makes sense. 5.12 ball recoveries per 90, 2 tackles per 90, pretty much. A different profile, I guess, for West Ham after spending pretty big. Something needs to click for them, doesn't it? This summer, I think a bit more of an engine in there wouldn't be the worst idea. 20 million quid, but they did well in there. Did you go to Bruges? Did you go to Bruges Villa?
No,
you didn't. I thought you might have. And there's not a crazy amount to say about him. I don't think he's going to change the world for them, but I think at 24, it's a solid one. Sorry, might as well. They do need a bit more energy in that midfield.
Yeah, they do. They really do.
We've really been so positive today. That's lovely. Maybe we need a bit more of that in the world. And lastly, James McAtee to Wolves. 27 appearances last year, 7 goals, 0 assists. We had Tommy Doyle, didn't they, Wolves last year?
Yeah, it's a weird one. I think McAtee's really talented. There's plenty of clubs that I'd be eyeing up for him. However, I don't know about Wolves. The only thing I'd say is they sort of have a bit of a flatter midfield.
Yeah, so they've got Andre, haven't they, and João Gomez, and then Bellegarde is sort of at it, and it's worked. That's worked pretty well. Is he? It says here Cunha replacement. Obviously, so different as players. He's always a bit more diminutive. I think if you can get sometimes if you can get a really good player, get the really good player. I don't know if they're going to buy him or loan him. If you can actually sign him, I think that's pretty amazing to get that asset into your club. And obviously hopefully they've signed their best. They've sold their best player year after year, haven't they, Wolves? So you hope they'll be able to invest a little bit of it. Apparently it's in the region of 35 million to get him, but the player's now into the. Oh, sorry, this is previously they wanted 35. Now he's in the last 12 months of his contract. The deal could be found at £25 million.
Wow.
I think he is really, really exciting.
Oh yeah, he's so talented.
We need to find some transfers that just absolutely aren't going to work. I think they would have to play a little bit differently, but maybe they want to, maybe he wants to. And I guess there's no point just replacing Cunha. You might as well just, look to create something new. 25 million. I'm sort of might as well, but with Wolves, in terms of that money, because they've generally been stockpiling that away. Are they going to spend all of this money? That's half your budget, pretty much, on one player. Should Wolves be doing that, do you think?
I mean, they need to sign a very, very good player to replace Cunha. However,
do you believe that's him? That's the thing.
I just don't. They're just very different, aren't they? I don't look at McAtee and think, oh, that's someone who can take control in the game in the way that Cunha did.
But I guess they've become a bit more of a team. My gut is going. I
trust Pereira,
but yeah, I get it.
I trust Pereira to whatever it is to do. I think because when Cunha didn't play in those games as well, and the Wolves were still very good.
Yep. Do you know what would be nice? Him and Strand Larsen. You can sort of be up there, kind of with him, but also you've got a player that can kind of become a 5. So you just play that one guy up top. Yeah, might as well.
Just sign them all.
So in conclusion, Neve,
every signing's a good signing.
It's all going to be great. Apparently he's class. Every single player that we've just spoken about. Sorry for wasting your time, but hopefully you've enjoyed the chat all the same. If you have done, follow the podcast or subscribe if the button is near you. Please subscribe. Check out all the other podcasts. We did one earlier in the week talking about PSG and Inter Milan, which you can go and enjoy. And of course, if you somehow are not aware of Neve, she is on the YouTube and she has videos. And you can go and watch them. So go and do that, please. Right. Cheers, Neve.